K-pop girl group Twice and its latest album With Youth topped the Billboard 200 this past Sunday, giving the group its first #1 on the main US album chart. So what does this latest feat mean for the group? Who are these solo female K-pop artists rocking stages in recent times? And who are these solo male artists seeking to do the same? Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Issues and Insiders. I'm Min Sunhee. Today we delve into the latest on the K-pop front here and elsewhere. For this, I have the head of DFSB Kollective Bernie Cho here in the studio. Bernie, thank you so much for making the time to be here.
Oh, it's good to be back.
I also have Jeff Benjamin with us. Jeff, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be back too.
Right, let's begin here in the studio. Bernie, K-pop girl group Twice topped the Billboard 200 chart this past Sunday. What would you say is the appeal of its latest album?
Well, you know, obviously, I think we have to say music. But no, I think it goes way beyond that, actually. Over the past few weeks, it's been actually really a phenomenal sort of headline-grabbing momentum at the moment for K-pop, but particularly specifically when we talk about the Billboard 200. Many of the statistics that came out just recently from Luminate, the data analytics company behind the Billboard charts, was absolutely startling and stunning. Last year, when we just look at the Billboard Top 200, I believe nearly a fourth to 30% of the #1 debuts in the US were K-pop albums. And when we do the number crunching, obviously at the top was American artists, US artists, but right pulling up almost neck and neck #2 was K-pop, Korean artists from South Korea. And then a distant third was what we call ROW, rest of the world. So the fact that South Korea is becoming so dominant on not just the album charts, but the CD charts, that news was just sinking in when right out of the gates, Twice grabbed the top spot. And with impressive numbers. Now, last year, they broke the Billboard 200 record for the most albums sold by a K-pop girl band, but they only made it to #2. But this time around, they climbed to the top, they hit the top, and yeah, they're the first non-English and more importantly, K-pop artist to hit #1 for 2024. So the momentum just continues to move on with Twice.
And a great start, of course, to this year. Jeff, what is the significance of this feat by Twice, in your opinion?
Yeah, Bernie made the excellent point that it's something that I think me and many of their fans might agree that it is an overdue accomplishment, because they have had such strong numbers and such big numbers for so long that they do have the biggest sales week ever for a female K-pop artist in the US. But, you know, timing, competition, all these things change up where you're going to land on the chart. So they haven't gotten that sort of elusive #1, but this was their chance to do it. It also speaks to a really significant moment for female groups in general. Before sort of this new K-pop era of chart-topping girl groups, we hadn't seen an all-female act top the Billboard 200 since 2008 with a US girl group called Danity Kane. In the last 3 years now, we've seen a girl group from Korea be able to chart every year. 2022 with Blackpink, last year was New Jeans able to top the Billboard 200, and now Twice finally gets that moment themselves. And to me, personally, on a more storytelling, journalistic level, I also love that this is Twice's moment to sort of connect in a larger way to the international audiences. There's a lot of talk I see from fans and in the industry about a group, when they are growing, longer than that sort of initial 7-year contract period. What happens to a group after that? And Twice, coming up in their 9th year together, they are going strong, hitting new international feats. They're going to be playing a stadium show in Las Vegas in America next weekend as part of their encore for their world tour. There's some really exciting things happening in Twice's story, especially with international fans. And I just love that this new album is able to connect to Twice in a really, I think, special way. The whole album and the songs speak a lot to their friendship, connecting with one another, spending their youth with each other and their fans. There's a really sweet and important story, and I got to talk to the girls, the members about it last week ahead of the album. So it's a really significant one for many reasons.
Right. And before we delve further into the plans by artists, there's a question I'd like to ask you, Bernie, about the marketing strategy with regard to traditional albums. Now, Korean idols are known to include like memorabilia, like photos in their traditional albums in hopes of boosting their sales. Do you suppose this particular strategy also served its purpose in the US market?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about K-pop albums selling so well, many people realize that, yes, the albums sell well, but when we look at the CD charts, last year, again, this data is still fresh, 9 out of the top 10 best-selling CDs in the United States last year were K-pop CDs. Now, some naysayers, critics, I might even go so far as to say haters, they know that the marketing and promotional technique when it comes to selling CDs in the US is famous, maybe borderline infamous, in the sense that they can convince fans with very little arm twisting to not just buy one, but multiple copies of CDs. Now, the reality is that K-pop CDs, they're not music, they're merchandise. And when fans buy the CDs, they're not buying it necessarily to listen to music, it's them voting to make sure that their favorite artist is going to have the highest, fastest chance of hitting #1. Now, that being said, a lot of music industry executives in the United States and frankly around the world are studying the secret sauce behind this, stupendous sales in K-pop CDs. And it's become no secret that the next Taylor Swift album is going to have, surprise, surprise, photo cards. So it begs the question, I wonder where they got that idea. But, look, a lot of people are studying how, and more importantly, why K-pop CDs sell well. And I think what it is, it's not just the marketing, it's not just the packaging, but really the presentation, not promotions, the packaging. And the reality is that they've made K-pop CDs feel like collector's items, and the fans want to collect.
Right. And then now, Jeff, there's been a rise, as you mentioned, about we have upcoming performances, that is, and we also see solo female artists on stages in recent times. What more can you tell us about the endeavors of our solo female K-pop artists?
And quickly before we move on from Twice, I gotta shout out to, one of my Twice albums, of course, because it's beautiful, but Bernie explained it perfectly. And we see you, Taylor, we know what you're doing, but let's focus now on the solo females. There's a lot of exciting things happening coming up. I believe we talked about them on the program before, but IU, who is getting ready for her first ever world tour, that just kicked off in Seoul with 2 dates last weekend, and I believe you guys are gonna get 2 more dates this coming weekend, which is so exciting because not only is this just a huge moment for her career, but finally us fans overseas are going to be able to get to see her. I've seen a lot of cool press pick up, a lot of media interest from IU's show. So I'm personally really curious to see how this tour is going to go. So IU is doing that on the live front. And coming up on the albums front, there's some really big releases that I'm very personally excited about. Wendy from Red Velvet will make her solo comeback. Her solo debut was one of my personal favorites from 2021, actually. Billboard named it one of the best solo K-pop songs of that year in 2021. We have Chungha, a Korean-American artist who's making her long-awaited debut after a year and a half away. We'll have Hongjoon from ATEEZ featuring on her solo single. Yua from Oh My Girl will be back soon. There's a lot of really strong and really unique female soloists kind of making their way soon and hopefully going to enter those Billboard charts as well.
Right, and that being said, Bernie, how do you respond to the surge in the number of solo female artists hitting stages?
I think it's actually incredibly healthy to see this type of diversity in what Korea and K-pop has to offer and can offer. I think it can be a little bit grinding when you just see boy bands and girl bands just coming out just almost with just military-like precision, just coming out over and over, round after round after round. It wears you down. Same, more of the same. After a while, does not sort of feel great. And so the fact that there's been a bit of a sort of kind of mixing and remixing and more importantly re-releasing. What I love about this lineup of solo female artists is it's a mix of both old and new, in the sense that there's some legacy acts, for instance, as Jeff mentioned, IU, to more importantly new acts. And I am sort of really excited to see that in the same way that a lot of male solo artists from boy bands, without having to break up, but during the peak of their sort of trajectory, are also able to flex to their fans their sort of true colors as solo artists. So to see that very tried and true formula being applied to girl bands and having these female artists, these women, take the stage to really show what they're capable of, I think for K-pop fans around the world who want a little bit of a change in their sort of auditory diet of what to enjoy, I think this is fantastic.
Right, and Bernie just mentioned we have boy bands. There we have BTS member V. I believe he announced a comeback single, Friends. Jeff, what more can you tell us about that?
Yes, you know, our BTS really on hiatus. Are they even in the military? They're bringing us so much, and it's so exciting. V, who had such a big breakout year last year with his solo album Layover, I was named #2 best K-pop album by Billboard for last year. He is coming back with this digital single, Friends, and you know, it's been a bit mysterious so far in terms of what's been released. He announced it with a bit of a moody trailer. There's been a concept film that's been released. We haven't seen anything about the concept photos yet, or there's been a short film so far, but everything is quite mysterious, quite interesting, and you know, it's very artistic and very mysterious and cool in the sense that he has always sort of been able to do so with his solo music. Layover, like I mentioned, that album is very jazz inspired, very much, you know, had a specific aesthetic that really hadn't been seen by any of the BTS members before. So this new single, Friends, it has sort of, it's got a bright pink cover on it, but it's highlighting the word end, and we can't really exactly tell what V is gonna bring here with this new concept and this new single. But as you can see in that clip right there, it's got a really interesting aesthetic to it. So I'm super curious when that is going to come out and how fans will react. It's coming out next Friday, which indicates it's going to have sort of an international global focus for it. So we'll hopefully see a really good global response to this song.
Right, hopefully, of course. Bernie, like Jeff mentioned, despite its enlistment, BTS has been making a tangible effort to keep its fans engaged. What do you suppose are the broader implications of this on the music industry as a whole? Well,
you know, when I talk about, or I should say answer this question, I'm going to go a little off the rails. Just a few days ago, BTS's company, Hype, just recently did their investor relations presentation to talk about, you know, they had a bigger and better year without having BTS as a full band, you know, performing and making music. And I think for many people in the music industry, you know, obviously there was a lot of concern that, oh, if they go to the military, that, you know, they might miss a beat, skip a beat, maybe suffer a little bit of a slide or slowdown. But if anything, they've proven to everybody that, you know, even without BTS, the way they mapped out their solo endeavors and solo careers and, you know, projects, it almost really doesn't feel as if BTS actually really went into the military, because there's constantly new music, new videos, new content coming out where they've not only kept the momentum, but if anything, they elevated. And now coming back full circle to this investor relations report, it was done by their CEO, and everyone was like, wow, this is amazing. They had a great year. And then they dropped the mic where they said, oh, by the way, that presentation you just saw, that was an avatar. That was all done by AI. And then they brought out the real CEO and the CFO to answer the questions for the investors. And for any of you out there, I'm just going to say, go out and look and watch that video. You cannot tell that that is not the CEO. So the fact that, you know, Hybe obviously has done wonderful in music, but they've made incredible strides in music tech and this AI, I thought was great. And so I had to slip that in because I didn't tell the script writer we should talk about it. We had to. But nonetheless, to make a long story longer, the fact that BTS is in the military and has actually done better, I think in many ways has shown the industry that the military service may not actually be a headache or a hiccup. It actually may help. And so I think, kudos and credit to how this is handled and more importantly to the success.
Right. Jeff, moving forward, solo male artists, they're also looking to stage comebacks this month. What's the latest on that particular front?
Yeah, and I mean, Bernie nailed it with just the amount of preparation that the BTS members themselves put into this time away, that they're not going to exactly be present with us, but still providing their fans with a lot of content. J-Hope from BTS, we have to mention his upcoming project, which is a really intriguing thing and something I'm super curious about. It's a documentary album project that called On the Street that is focusing on, things that inspire J-Hope from an artist perspective, which is street dancing. We're seeing the teaser right now, which is so great. There's some really interesting collaborations on this record with not only members of BTS like Jungkook, but dynamic duo, the legendary hip-hop duo, Niles Rodgers, legendary chic guitarist, Betty Blanco, famous pop producer. There's a lot of cool, Yoon Ray, I believe she's also on it, humongous, female rapper, humongous names in that way. And I personally think we're going to see a really, really exciting response to what J-Hope is able to do with this record in particular. And there's also, many more male soloists coming up. Big Bang's Daesung, who recently left his longtime home of YG Entertainment, is coming out with his new records. Members of iKON, who also recently left YG Entertainment, coming out with their solo records like DK and June. A lot of very cool and unexpected sounds coming from these guys, whether it's been sort of the acoustic, seasonal sounds of spring from Daesung, DK's very cool and moody R&B sound, or June's sort of trot-inspired comeback with his new album. There's a lot to check out with the guys, and many, many things, that just go beyond your typical K-pop comebacks, but a lot of different sounds as well.
Right, and along with these new sounds, Bernie, I understand we're looking at new boy bands as well. We're poised to meet with SM's NCT Wish. Tell us more.
Yeah, this is an interesting announcement. SM Entertainment, has constantly, regularly, always announced that they have new bands, boy bands, girl bands, solo acts coming out. But this one in particular has quite a bit of significance. Number one is when we say SM, in this case we may have to put some parentheses or maybe some markers around that, because on the same day that Chairman Lee, the founder of SM Entertainment, the namesake of SM Entertainment, Lee Soo-man, finally sold all his shares in his own namesake company on the same day they announced NCT Wish. Now granted, the moniker NCT was the brainchild of Chairman Lee. It stands for Neo Culture Technology, but NCT Wish is going to be the first boy band project coming out of SM Entertainment that does not have the involvement of Chairman Lee, the SM of SM Entertainment. And so for many people in the industry, obviously there's hope that they will continue that legacy and continue that sort of brand power of SM Entertainment, but this is definitively the first time, the first act that's going to be coming out from SM Entertainment, but post-SM.
Already symbolic. Jeff, as for new girl groups, I hear the competition, and do correct me if I'm wrong, is between YG and producer Teddy.
Well, that's definitely one of them for sure. And it's a super interesting time in terms of these new acts that are coming out. NCT Wish is a perfect example of SM Entertainment moving into a new chapter in its company's history. Same thing happening for YG Entertainment, another long historied production company and agency from Korea for its pop groups. Right now, they are very focused on their new girl group, Baby Monster. We're seeing right now on the screen. This is the 7-member group who is YG's first group since Blackpink. Naturally, Blackpink is the humongous name that we all know. Blackpink, of course, followed up 21, another huge, globally beloved group. And very interestingly, Teddy, the producer, who has long been under YG, not only for 21 and Baby Monster and Blackpink's music rather, but for their artists like Big Bang. Teddy is not involved in Baby Monster, and this has been sort of a shift for YG Entertainment girl groups. Instead, Teddy is now focused on his own label, the Black Label, which is a subsidiary of YG Entertainment that is not only trying to showcase, Teddy's involvement as a producer, but really make a name for itself in a larger agency way. Not only do they have artists like Joan Somi, who is a soloist and beloved soloist that has Teddy producing for her. They have Taeyang from Big Bang, who moved to that label from YG Entertainment. But it's confirmed that they are working on their girl group. And I know personally that there's a lot of big plans for this girl group and a lot of high expectations for them. So as the Black Label kind of tries to develop, not only solo artists, but it's now debuting idol groups. It's signed different artists, actors to its label, like Park Bo-gum, for example. It's a really interesting time to see if, of course, a company is made up by all its parts and all the creatives within it. But, it'll be interesting to see if Teddy, who was, sort of the students, if you will, under YG Entertainment for so long, will sort of be able to surpass the master of YG and sort of be able to break out on his own, if it does come down to sort of this new generation girl group battle in that way. So there's a lot to watch out for these young women, and I'm super, super excited to see what comes from them in that way.
Right, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that when we meet next. Right, as always, Jeff, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. And Bernie here in the studio, thank you very much for your insights.
Oh, thank you.
Right, well, that is time for us to say goodbye then. Thank you for watching. See you same time tomorrow. That is Friday.